Happy day. July 3rd or July 2nd, sorry, for those watching us being recorded. We'll call the meeting to order and remind you that it is being recorded. Councillor Columbus says past his regrets, but I see other than that, we have 100% attendance here. We have a good agenda tonight, and I hope we can get through it at decent hours. So, are there any additional items for the agenda? And seeing none, can I have a motion that the board of directors approve the agenda as circulated? Moved by Rainey and seconded by Tola. All in favor? Yeah, motion certainly carried. Thank you. Declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, minutes of the previous meeting. The board of directors hearing board of June 4th. I need a motion that the minutes of the LPRCA Board of Directors hearing board meeting held June 4th be adopted as circulated. Amended. Moved by Pete, seconded by Jim. Are there any amendments to the board? Presented and seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. The Board of Directors meeting of June 4th. Motion that the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting held June 4th be adopted as circulated. Wilbur and Secretary, Deborah and Chris. Any changes? Well, Councillor,
can I roll back to the first set of minutes that we've already approved?
I don't see one doing.
The reason I asked is on page 4 of our agenda package for tonight, item number 9, hearing board decision for 89/25. Condition 1 was prior to the issuance of any permit from the LPRCA, additional shoreline protection is designed, installed, and stamped by a professional engineer. In order to design, install, and stamp that shoreline protection, they need a permit. So according to the wording of the condition on that motion, we're not going to issue any permit, yet they need a permit in order to get the permit for construction of the accessory building. So we've contradicted ourselves in what we actually wrote.
General Manager?
Well, that was the condition that was put on. So you're saying, I didn't read it that way. Do anyone else? I'm not. They have to, in order to get for the hearing board to have issue or permitted
Page young, page 4 of the agenda package.
the
Item
permit
number
has
9.
been approved with a condition. So you granted the permission, right, as the hearing board. So the condition of that permission was that they do the shoreline protection.
But in order, speaking of in order to do that shoreline protection, they need to have a permit. And we're saying in this condition, we're not going to issue any permits until the shoreline protection is in place. So I think a very simple fix to this would be if, I don't know if we can amend decisions that are already made and posted or whatever, but that prior to the issuance of any permit for accessory buildings, shoreline protection must be installed, stamped, and
I think that's how we were interpreting that, but
I think, if I may interject, I think the word installed, if it was more taken out, would that not suffice the motion?
the word,
yeah, the word any.
word.
It should read prior to the issuance of a permit from LPRCA for accessory buildings. And then the rest can still the same.
Take out any. Chris, your comments?
Well, I think it's straightforward. What they were asking for was the permit to construct accessory building.
Yeah.
This is the condition put on that. They're gonna have to come and get another permit to install the shoreline protection. But they're two separate issues. They're not connected.
So it's not the same permit.
Yeah, this permit is specific to that accessory building, it's got nothing to do with the shoreline correction, they need another permit to do that.
Yes,
So actually, I don't think we can actually change this because it's all been recorded, sent out reasons. We had to send the reasons for decision out to the applicant. So I hear what Peter's saying, but I think we understand that it's a permit related to the accessory building because that's what the hearing was about. So I don't think at this point can actually make any changes, but it's a good point, I think, for future to be mindful of the wording.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. On to the motion of accepting the minutes of June 4th. I think we have a mover and a second here.
Deborah.
Yeah, we haven't called the question. So we'll call the question on that, all in favor. And that's, thank you, that's carried. Reviewing the committee minutes, the audit and finance committee minutes of, May 30th. Chris, you chair that committee. You're willing to have any questions? Anybody else? You have to answer any question, and any questions to that meeting. Looks like you're off the hook. We'll have a motion that the minutes of the audit and finance committee meeting held May 30th be adopted and circulated.
I could make one, there was one issue about there, we have that one PPN that's not due for a couple of years. And staff and our advisor, we're gonna look into whether it's a good time to cash it in early and reinvest it, so. Did direct staff to carry on and do that. Bring back a report in the meeting and so.
Karen, anything you want to add?
No, just what Chris said, and we're having a meeting scheduled for Friday, August 8th.
Yeah.
Moving the letter to
So, very well. Okay, we have a motion, we have it seconded. Okay, we have a mover and second. Yeah,
We need one.
we need a mover and second. Sorry, I'm not keeping track here. Rainey's moving and seconded by, Shelley. All in favor? That's carried. The Bacchus Museum Committee minutes of October 28th. Motion that the meeting held October 28th, we received information. That was a while ago.
Yes,
Okay.
that one has to be approved by the Baptist committee itself, so that's why you're just receiving it as information.
Right, okay.
This board doesn't approve. it.
Motion that we receive as information. Okay, thank you, those feet. And, Rainey, okay, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. Correspondence, Township of Portsmouth letter to the Ministry of Code Bill 5. Questions or comments on it? Seems to be some quite controversy on Bill 5. It has turned, not a lot of it about it. Good thing we don't have a landfill site up there. We're lucky. Yes. The new chief conservation executive, that was put out, and I asked Judy if she would put that on the agenda, which is probably good news. There's not a lot we can report on, but there has been an appointee. And someone I believe from Halton, do you know?
Yes, he had left Halton CA and he was the CAO at the city of Burlington. So we're not clear if this is just a contract or
Right,
full-time position, but I'm sure after he starts August 4th, there'll be more information.
that's right, yeah, just a heads up that
Yeah.
there's that change of a bit, yeah. The transition of conservation authorities to a different ministry. Is there anything you've heard about that, Judy? That's it.
Yes, so as we know, that was announced a while back. I'm trying to think when.
Not that long ago, since the election.
Yeah, so they put us over, but it hadn't been officially
Right.
noted. So now they have created a new department. So Kristen Surface, who's overseeing, it's called the Conservation Authority section within the Conservation and Soil Protection branch of Lands and Water Division. So they created this area However, there's certain things that are still remaining with M&R. And it's noted in the first paragraph, the leadership for natural hazard management policy and operations. So that would be like special policy areas that municipalities usually take the lead on, and all the tech guides that we use for our shoreline and riverine regulations. And there's probably more things, but those are the things that we kind of familiar to us. So Kristen actually was at the Conservation Ontario General Commissioners meeting. So on June 25th, he did a presentation on source protection, but it wasn't announced. She didn't make the announcement, both being in charge of this conservation authorities. And actually she sat beside me for lunch, so it was actually a good place to be. And I got to talk to her with a small group of other CAGM. So she's really great, and she came from M&R. I'm working for ACP now, but she really is a good person. I think between that and having Hussein, it will be a really good combination, really good, I think, for conservation authorities.
Good, that's great. Any questions on that? Seeing none, we'll call for a motion then on correspondence outlined for the board of directors agenda of these 3 items for July 2nd. We received this information. So we're in a second with Jim and Sean. All in favor? That's carried. Good. Development applications. There's a few of them. Leanne?
Since the last board of directors meeting, LPRCA staff have for 15 permits. So as always, the staff report information is here, followed by the map, where they're located in the watershed. If you have any questions.
Questions? That's good. All right. Motion that the board of directors receive the staff approve section 28 regulations, approve permits, report as information. Pete and Shelley. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. New business, general manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to highlight, I did talk about being at the meeting June 24th and 25th. It was a good chance to share and with all the other general managers or CEOs from the other conservation authorities. And there were some good presentations, but also being able to meet Kristen in person was really positive.
If I can interrupt just for a minute, without being rude, the Conservation Ontario has staff members on the board, and they also have board members.
Yeah.
And the board members, under the new legislation, are not there for longer than 2 years. So really, the staff members are the ones who are there. The others are sort of transient. So it's important that I think that the managers get together and discuss their synergies and carry them forward, because the board members really are inexperienced at it. And they have very little to do with it. So it's I think it's great that they do it. So just so that the board's aware of the staff thing. Yes.
Yeah, no problem. And also, I just wanted to let the board know, we did get approved, and we had put an application in for $150,000 for funding for FIMP, and there were some projects that were approved in the budget subject to this funding coming in. We actually did get the agreement. We have 3 projects that were approved, and it's over the next 2 years ending March 2027. And you'll see a report from Leanne coming up. She has an RFP that you'll hear about for the One Creek for the hydrology for the floodplain mapping. We actually did the hydrology RFP before the board. So that's positive. And then we did our first agency PR course for our new employees and some current employees that had expired. And the opening weekend for the Conservation Education Center was really good on June 21st. And actually last weekend we had very good numbers too of people coming through the center. So it's been really well received and a lot of positive feedback. And also we did receive funding for invasive termite control. And that is, we put an application in for the Lee Brown Marsh. And we did get confirmation that we're receiving $12,599 and we'll have a contract to do that work in the marsh in early August. So,
Is there an issue with the fragmity system? I mean, there always is. because
yeah,
it's
so there is definitely, we did some mapping when it was frozen this past winter. They went out, forestry staff with Kim and we actually marked the spot. So then the person that we'll hire will use that data to go and target the areas that it needs. It's more just keeping it in
Under
control. Yeah. But it's nice to receive the money.
Good. Any questions? By the way, yeah, been to Bacchus to look at it. It's excellent. It really is. Well, many were there that day, but some weren't. So if you get an opportunity to stop by and take a look at it, it's worth your time. Take the family through. Okay, I'll need a motion that we receive general manager's report unless there's any other questions. Motion, Deborah, and Tom. That it's received this information, all in favor. It's carried. Okay, we have some action items. Operations, Judy? Sorry, Arnett, sorry. Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
Sorry.
So the authority has closed operations over the Christmas period except for emergency response for numerous years now. This period includes 3 working days and 3 statutory holidays. The board of directors has traditionally granted staff a complimentary day off during this period. Staff's proposing that the office is closed from Thursday, December 25th till Thursday, January 1st, 2026, and reopening on Friday, January 2nd. If the board decides to grant the complimentary day again this year, staff would be required to use 2 vacation days for a 2-day week period. Any questions?
Tom, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one small typo there in January 2026 in the first one,
Right,
not 25.
gotcha.
Well, the motion.
For the motion?
No,
So we had both of that for catch.
3 of us ready to go over here.
Thank you. Dolphins number 5.
Cloud over this.
what you are.
I'll go with 27 was cloud number. Good catch. Motion that the board of directors closes the operations from December 25th, 2025 and January 1st, 2026, except for emergency response. Tom? Moving? Seconder, Brady? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And then you see the proposed meeting schedule that was in there. I've already entered that into my calendar. And I don't see where there's any overlaps. If there is, let us know. So we receive it. Doesn't seem to be a problem with it, but there always is some duplication somewhere along the road that we have to start somewhere right here. Judy, any questions or any comments on it? Motion that the board of directors approve the proposed meeting schedule for 2026. That's it, Deborah and Shelley. All in favor? It's carried. Forest management operation plans. Rickman and Anderson Green Becker. Judy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, this is for, 2 properties, the Ringland tract and the Anderson Lee Becker tract. And this is to do white pine thinning. And we had to move some, one property was moved out, so Debbie brought this forward, and if this prescription is approved tonight, we'll be doing the marking of the white pine and then getting it out for tender. So this is we're trying to achieve the target 310,000. We have 256,000 over 2 previous timber tenders. So.
Questions on that? Wherever said the day off. Yeah. The motion of the board of directors direct staff, down where are we? Right here. I'll read it. Approves the prescription operating plans for the Ringler track at 655 second session Middleton Township. And the Anderson Lee Becker track at 726 second session at Middleton Township. Mover to second. Rainey and Pete. All in favor? Carried. Community engagement report. Jess, you've been a busy lady, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to walk us through what you've been doing?
Sure. So in our report, I have summarized the events we've already done and then the events that we're planning on doing for the rest of the year. And I'm just gonna highlight a few of them. The first thing I want to talk about is the interpretive programming at the historic site. We have 2 staff that will be on hand from Victoria Day weekend until Labor Day weekend, Wednesday to Sunday, 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So this includes guided tours, hands-on activities, and also self-guided tours are available during these hours. Calendar is posted with the full round schedule on our website. So if you want specific activities, you can take a look at that. And then a fun little event we do is Field the Flower and Field to Fabric with the Norfolk Driver Arts Guild, and that's going to happen on July 6th. We attended Turtle Fest again this year, which went really well. It was very windy, but we managed to stay put. We just promoted our campgrounds and our programs and services. We handed out approximately 150 visitor guides, so we had a good amount of people coming up to the booth. Most recently, the forestry staff hosted a landowner information session about hemlock woolly adelgid at Hay Creek Conservation Area. And this was funded by the Invasive Species Center. So we basically took 12 people who are landowners in the area and walked through our property to show them our DNA staple trap, and then also talk about infestation, prevention, and potential treatment options. And everyone seemed to really enjoy the information we were able to give. Deer Creek, the fishing derby is set for August 9th, and fundraising is going very smoothly, pretty much planned already. Norfolk County will be there again, and MNRF hopefully going to be there. The War of 1812 is set to take place September 6th and 8th to the 8th, and we're still collecting donations for the event. 92.1 radio is planning on being there to cover the event as part of our meeting agreement.
Who's gonna win this year?
Who's gonna win? I think it's set. And then our social media, it's predominantly Instagram and Facebook. If you look at the data, it does seem like we kind of dropped off, but we did have a few kind of viral posts last year. So those are like outliers. It's not like typical engagement that we get. But if you look at the interactions, they're relatively the same. So we haven't actually dropped down. We just had a few viral things. And then lastly, if you know any graduating high school students, we are still accepting applications to our scholarship. So if you know anyone who's going into post-secondary for an environmental program, please feel free to direct them to our website and encourage them to apply.
Good. Any questions? You've been busy, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I think the loss of Sarah from August, will that make any difference to your programs?
The students who are working there are the ones who typically do the activities. So
You're saying no effect?
I think it's scheduled to go
Okay,
as normal, right?
thank you.
Hopefully she gets replaced in the not too distant future. Good question. I have a question. On social media, do you use LinkedIn? A lot of government agencies use LinkedIn. It's a business profile as opposed to an information profile.
I haven't posted on it, but we do use it if we have trouble.
So, great. Okay, but not as far as broadcasting information and programs that we have. Right, I just didn't know if other conservation authorities use LinkedIn or not. Facebook seems to be popular.
Most of the conservation authorities do job postings. I don't really see much on it.
It's a business profile.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure, yeah.
The hemlock woolly, I guess we call it. like there were people invited to that. Is there information on how to look for that or detect that? Hay Creek is close to, where I'm concerned about, and I just wondered, how do we, learn a little bit more about that? Just online, or do we? Say you took 12 attendees, who were they?
They were landowners within the area, but I can pass along the information sheet that we made for them.
And you use some kind of a sticky trap, like, what are we looking for?
I'm not like an expert on hemlock, but from what I know, it falls from the trees, like the insect falls. So like if any DNA from the insect falls in the trap, it gets sent to the invasive species center or Canada Food Inspection Agency and it gets tested. So then you can tell if it's there because it starts at the crown of the tree. So you can't really see that. And if it's already at the bottom, then the tree is pretty much fully infested already and there's not much you can do. So I think that's to try and catch it earlier on.
Is it only in one species or tree, or is it
Hemlock is this.
nothing else? Interesting. Not yet anyways, it's in any.
I don't think that can attack any. So I think it's specific to these specific.
The reason to say that the gypsy moth, for example, I mean, how we've all had problems with that over the years. And it has, I've seen it attack red maples and different trees. And anyways, okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Memorial Forest dedication, what time of day will that?
I believe it's one. It's either one or two. Oh, wait,
Early afternoon.
yeah. I don't think I've got the time.
He'll be in and out.
1:30 in my head, so.
Yeah. All right. Be nice when we circulate that a little closer to the time so the board members don't know if they restrict not that. Okay, motion that we receive the communication engagement report as information. 25. Hoover, secretary, Jim and Shelley. All in favor? That's carried. Mechanical flood hazard mapping. Leanne?
Yes, LPRCA staff issued a request for proposal for a consultant to complete flood hazard mapping for Nanticoke Creek from Thompson Road in Norfolk County south to the outlet into Lake Erie. Historical floodplain mapping exists there, however, it's from 1977 and it requires updates. In 2020, updated mapping was completed upstream of this area through Waterford. By the deadline of June 17th, LPRCA received 9 proposals. Each proposal was reviewed and evaluated independently by an assessment team of 3 staff members on the quality of the proposal, the experience of the consulting team, the approach to the study, the cost, and the schedule. The proposals received are listed on page 63 of the agenda package, along with the price. Based on the results of the independent evaluation, staff recommend that the proposal submitted by Aquifer Beach Limited be accepted at a price of $67,370, excluding the unrecoverable portion of HST. This proposal was ranked highest by the assessment team, and this firm is experienced with administering projects of similar size and scope and has worked with LPRCA in the past in flood hazard mapping for Big Otter Creek. The firm's proposal includes how they would meet each deliverable identified in the RFP. As Judy mentioned earlier in the meeting in her GM's report, LPRCA's grant application to the Flood Hazard Information Mapping Program has been approved, and M&R will cover the cost of this project 50% up to a maximum contribution of $60,000. And staff are recommending to the board that Aquifer Beach Limited be retained to provide engineering services to complete this mapping project, and I can answer any questions if you have.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is the Nanticoke Creek is the outlet for wastewater plant. And I just wonder, do they, and I'm reading this, they've done to St. John's Road already, correct? It was done in 2020. Are you reading that right?
The chair, which waste, I'm not aware of a wastewater treatment plant outlet on it.
think that that's where the water plant exits. To Nanticoke Creek eventually all in.
In Waterford though, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, yes, so Waterford was done in 2020.
so does the engineering get involved in that at all? Like, is there some input from them at all? The reason I say that, they've got new technology at the Waterford wastewater plant, and I kind of want to know. There's not much flow there from Waterford on that creek. And I just wondered, are they involved in that in any way? Or do you?
Through the chair, my understanding is that's not, kind of a consideration when it comes to the outlet, wastewater treatment plants. They look at the watershed and the bridges, the culverts, and how that flows.
Nothing to do with the front at all.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I think, well, I'm gonna ask our engineering department. I'd like to know a little bit more, like we have new technology at that plant. And I know that's always been a concern about flow of creek from water starting down and, that's fine. I'll ask the engineering, say if they have any concerns, but then they can contact you. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. They can contact me. Yeah, so this is just, it's not gonna manipulate the levels or anything. It's just mapping existing conditions and where that would fall within the
It
law.
may be interesting to them, so. Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Motion that the board of directors direct staff to retain Aquifer Beach Limited for engineering services to complete flood hazard mapping for Nanticoke Creek at a cost of $67,370 exclusive of HSD. Mover and seconder, please, Deborah and Jim. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. DACUS committee. Judy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the, practice from city county meeting, it was recommended that, well, actually, there was two motions passed to appoint two new community representatives to the, it'd be Wanda Backus Kelly and Trevor Shelley. And this is just information for the board and for the board to consider approving their appointment to the Backus Museum Committee.
Mover and seconder. Pete and Tom, I guess it should be, I should read it, that the board of directors received, I'm sorry. The board of directors appoints Wanda Backus Kelly and Trevor Shelley as community representatives to the Backus Committee. So, Larry Shelley, Tom? Right, Shelley and Tom. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. Watershed conditions, Jennifer?
For you, Mr. Chair, staff has prepared watershed condition update here, which outlines basically set basic initial claims, stream water flow and lake water level conditions across the LPRCA watershed. While May brought rainfall near the historical Everest, June was a dry one. And this kind of reflected on both stream flow and lake water level. Clearance have been brought in front of you, Mr. Chair. The question will be answered.
Any questions on the chair? Pretty well straightforward. Thank you for that. Motion that the board of directors receive the watershed condition update report as information. Mover and seconder. Deborah and Ray. All in favor? That's carried. Now we're going to cut a little short. People are going to have to move into the board of directors meeting. You need a motion that the LPRCA directors now moves into to discuss litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals. Example, local planning tribunal affecting the authority. Third sector will that, and it will be Pete and secretary. Deborah. All in favor? That's carried. Wait a minute then, and I'll move to closed session. Thank you, and our next meeting will be September September 4th at 6:30, Board of Directors meeting unless something comes up. Tony?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious if there's a reason why we're meeting on Thursday in September.
So the Thursday, September 4th.
That could just be my mistake then. I have a Wednesday, the third.
Oh, the third.
The third is Wednesday. So
My bad.
it says the fourth.
Just my bad. Okay.
Okay, so that's third.
Yeah.
Next meeting, September 3rd, 2025 at 6:30.
That was in his sweet little.
Yeah, speaking of certain, that was me. Explicitly.
There's no further questions or comments. This meeting is adjourned.